a look now at decomposition of corpses. So what decomposition is actually the rotting of all tissues and organs, and we break it up into different stages: initial decay, putrefaction, black putrefaction, butyric fermentation, and dry decay. And initial decay, the body still looks normal from the outside, but from the inside it's starting to decompose from bacteria, because you do have bacteria that are in your large intestine naturally, and autolysis, the breakdown of cells or cell dying. And putrefaction is the next stage, and that's when you start getting that odor of decaying flesh. The corpse starts to appear swollen, just like you'd see maybe, unfortunately, a dead deer on the side of the road. It looks like it's really big, it has a really big belly. It's because it's already in the putrefaction stage. In black putrefaction, the odor gets even stronger, parts of the flesh actually turn black, and gases start to escape through orifices, and the swelling will subside once that gas leaves. In butyric fermentation, the corpse starts to dry out when most of the flesh is gone. Dry decay is when the corpse is almost completely dry, so there's really no more decay because there's a lack of moisture. Now, we're going to be able to determine some of this by the appearance of the corpse as well as insects. So, speed of decomposition is going to depend on the person's age, the size of the body, and the nature of their death. Individuals that are sick, that have a fever, decompose faster because their body is warmer. If a young person dies versus an elderly, the young is actually going to decay or decompose faster. Overweight people are faster than people of normal weight, and naked bodies are going to decompose faster than those that are clothed. Again, higher temperatures are going to dry out corpses, preserving them, so it almost looks like they've been mummified, depending on how high the temperature is. And cold temperatures are going to prevent bacterial growth and slow decomposition. So if a body is found in snow or ice, it's very hard to determine time of death because there's no bacterial growth, there will be no insects. So if we look at forensic entomology, which is the study of insects in relation to solving crimes, bugs can actually be very helpful. So when an entomologist goes to a crime scene, they're going to study the environmental conditions, such as the temperature, the moisture, and the wind around the body as well as below it. And they're going to get records for the days around when they found the body. Insects are going to arrive within minutes of a dead body to lay their eggs. Now, blowflies are attracted to the gases. The only problem is if a body is not out in the open, if it's wrapped tightly, if it's in a trunk, something like that is going to prevent insects from getting there within minutes. So those things need to be taken into account. But blowflies are attracted to gases which are given off by the corpse, which are putrescine and cadaverine. Now, the insects arrive in a specific sequence because of what they eat. Right? Blowflies are the most studied for entomology. After blowflies lay their eggs on the body, tiny wasps will inhabit the body because they're attracted to the fluids that are seeping out of it, and then from there mites and beetles because they like the drier conditions. So if you remember the clip that we watched in class, they put the skulls into the beetle tank so that they can get all the flesh off, because that's what they like. So if we look at the blowfly life cycle, we can figure out time of death, or entomologists can figure out time of death based on the cycle because it's been studied so much and it's so predictable. What's going to happen is the adult is going to lay the eggs, and within 23 hours, you're going to have first instar larva. Okay, now they're maggots basically. So you're going to have first instar, and then second instar, and then third instar are much bigger. And after that, they're going to form a pupa, which is kind of like a cocoon. That pupa is going to hatch into an adult fly. So we can, by figuring out how long this takes and knowing that it's a predictable cycle, and they can figure out time of death. But what's going to happen is they're going to actually have to harvest those flies from the body in order to do this. We'll talk about that a little later. So the larva is actually an immature stage of an animal that undergoes metamorphosis. So the adult fly lays eggs, eggs turn into larvae, Those larvae form that pupa or cocoon, and then will transform or metamorphose into the fly. So the first stage lasts about 1.8 days, and you'll see a V-shaped slit. In the second stage, you'll see 2 slits. In the third stage, you see 3. Now, if we find presence of blowfly eggs, we know that time of death is 24 hours or less. If we find third stage larvae, we know that time of death is 4 to 5 days. And if there's pupa present, you're going to find time of death to be 18 to 24 days. You will not find adults on the body because they are able to fly away. So things that affect the insect development, we talked a little bit about before: temperature, moisture, wind, time of day, season, exposure to the elements, and variations among individual insects. Some insects like different stages, different weather, different areas. Now, ADH is what's used to determine time of death, which is accumulated degree hours. So what happens is the entomologist is actually going to preserve some of the insects from the crime scene to know exactly how old they are at the discovery of the body. Every stage that they're going to find, they're going to preserve. They're going to preserve some samples, they're going to keep some live samples. So they're going to raise those live samples so that they can actually monitor how long it takes for that specific grouping of eggs or whatever stage they have to turn into the next stage so they can figure out time of death. So now they're going to compare the insects that they have at the lab. They're going to go backwards, go to the body, look at the weather maps for the area, and do the math for it that way.